Hello, good evening. It's 6:30 p.m., July 12th, 2023, and the meeting of the Urban Design Commission will now come to order. Welcome, everybody. May we have a roll call?
Monica Sullivan.
Here.
Edith McKee.
Here.
Allison Gordy.
Here.
Julia Foland.
Here.
Mark Cox.
Present.
Alexandra Nanello.
Here.
Ryan Lucas.
Here.
You have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the minutes. May we get a motion to approve the minutes from May 24th, 2023? It has been moved by Commissioner Nanalo and seconded by Commissioner Sullivan. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Are there any objections to the minutes being approved? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Next, we'll move on to the special order of business. Are there any disclosures? Wait, oops. Commissioner Nanalo?
Yes, I need to disclose that I know several, for the case number, sorry, I want to make sure I say this correct, 2023-0061, that's for the single track. I know several people who wrote in on the comments for that, and I also know a couple people in the audience here, but I don't have any special knowledge of this case and of this project other than, I know these people socially, but they haven't discussed it with me or anything like that.
Is there any opportunity for you to gain financially from this project?
No, there's not.
Great, thank you. May we please get a motion to direct Commissioner Nanalo to participate? It's been moved by Commissioner Lucas. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Foland, second.
I don't know. Who was that?
Commissioner Foland, second.
Thank you. We have a second from Commissioner Foland. Is there any discussion? Nope. Hearing none, may we please vote to direct Commissioner Nanalo to participate in case number 2023-0061.
Ms. Gordy.
Yes.
Ms. Foland.
Yes.
Mr. Cox.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Nanalo, you're directed to participate in case 2023-0061.
Thank you.
Thank you. We don't have any items on the consent agenda or unfinished business, so we'll move on to the public hearing. I'll read the public process. The procedure by which the public may speak to the Urban Design Commission at its meeting is, 1, after the staff presentation is completed on public hearing items, the chair will ask for public testimony on the issue. 2, persons who wish to testify will follow the time limits established in the Urban Design Commission Rules of Procedure. Petitioners, including all of his, her, their representatives, are given 10 minutes. Rebuttal by the petitioner may be allowed when time has been reserved. Representatives of groups, community councils, PTAs, etc., are allowed 5 minutes, and individuals 3 minutes. 3, when your testimony is complete, you may be asked questions by the commission. You may only testify once on any issue unless questioned by the commission. 4, any party of interest wishing to appeal shall first file with the planning director within 7 days of the commission's decision made on the record a written notice of intent to appeal in accordance with AMC 21.03.0 050A.4.a, Commission recommendations to the Anchorage Assembly are not appealable. Following the approval of the written findings of fact and decision, any party of interest may, within 20 days, file an appeal by filing a notice of appeal and paying the appeal fee and deposit in accordance with Section 21.03.050. The notice of appeal must be filed with the planning director on a form prescribed by the municipality. If the appellant is not the applicant, the appellant's notice of appeal shall include proof of service on the applicant. With respect to case 2023-0061, the petitioner is the municipality of Anchorage Parks and Recreation. They are requesting review of the Far North Bicentennial Park, Hillside Park single-track trails. May we have staff's presentation?
Yes, thank you, Chair McKee. As Chair McKee stated, this request is from the Municipality of Anchorage Parks and Recreation. Their representative is Single Track Advocates, and they've submitted a trail review to construct approximately 5.5 miles of beginner and intermediate single track trails within Hillside Park. Hillside Park is a portion of Far North Bicentennial Park. The single track trails would be constructed in an area with existing Nordic ski trails, and the new single track trails would be accessed from existing parking lots and park entry points. This would be similar to the design at Kincaid Park, where the single track trails cross the ski trails. Mountain and winter biking have grown in popularity, and the new single track trails increase connectivity with existing trails. No public comments or community council comments were received by the planning department directly for the case, but the application packet includes letters of support or resolutions of support from several organizations and individuals. We did receive a couple agency comments. There was one from Right of Way that just requested parking be considered. Traffic Engineering commented that access is from established off-street parking areas without direct impact to existing rights-of-way. Other reviewing agencies either provided non-objective or non-substantive comments. The agency comments are available in their original format in attachment 2. The single-track trails are consistent with Title 21 and elements of the comprehensive plan, including the 2040 land use plan. The Hillside District Plan boundaries are just south of this project, but the Hillside District Plan does identify trails as being an important community infrastructure. The project is consistent with the Far North Bicentennial Park Trail Improvements Plan and the updated Far North Bicentennial Park Master Plan. The new single-track trails would be in an area that the Far North Bicentennial Park Trail Improvements Plan designates for high intensity of recreational use. The Urban Design Commission may approve with conditions, or reject the trail review application that's described in Anchorage Municipal Code, Chapter 3 under Trail Review. The department is recommending approval of this trail review application without any conditions. And that's my staff report.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff? Thank you. Will the petitioner please come forward? Please state and spell your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Nicolette Dent, Nicolettedent.
Thank you. You will have 10 minutes to present. Would you like to reserve any of your time for rebuttal?
Sure, 2 minutes, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I do have a PowerPoint if it's able to appear on the screen. Wonderful. Thank you, Chair McKee. Thanks, Commissioners. My name is Nicolette Dent. I'm a planner at Anchorage Parks and Recreation, here to introduce a proposal for new single-track trails in Hillside Park. So to situate us, Hillside Park is located between Service High School and Hilltop Ski Area north of Abbott Road. It's part of the larger Far North Bicentennial Park, which is Anchorage's largest municipal park. It spans over 4,000 acres and sees about or over 1 million visitors each year. So it's been growing in popularity, and Hillside Park is primarily known and used for its Nordic ski loops, which you can see in the image here. They are multi-use in the summer, but in the winter they're groomed and maintained for ski only by the Nordic Ski Association of Anchorage. There are some existing single track in this area, most of them off of this image to the east and north of Hilltop Ski area, where the terrain becomes more steep as you get into the Chugach foothills. Our project champion is Single Track Advocates. They're an organization that has built and maintains over 35 miles of trails in Anchorage, most of those at Kincaid, Hillside, and Chugach State Parks. And they have an existing maintenance agreement with our department, so we're really excited and happy to be working with them and are joined by representatives from their board today. A little bit of planning context for this park. The Trail Improvements Plan was established in 2011 for Far North Bicentennial Park, recognizing the growing use and popularity of trails in this park. It's kind of the primary feature of the park. Much of it is natural resources or undeveloped, but there's a great system of trails that are used by all different types of users. This proposal focuses on Hillside Park, which is considered an area of high intensity of recreational use. So there's some information about that on page 17 in your packet. So the proposal today for about 5.5 miles of new trail would maintain that recommended density threshold of that's listed in the packet. So Single Track Advocates is proposing 5.5 miles of new single track multi-use trail. It would be laid out in 3 loops that would be one directional with some 2 directional access points. It could be accessed from existing parking areas and trails like the Gasline Trail, Service High School, the Abbott Road parking lot, and Hilltop Ski area. A couple reasons that it's a great fit for this area. It would really improve connectivity in a very popular area of the park. And as I mentioned, there's already this system of existing access points, and these would be focused right in between all of those and really provide new opportunities for users to get around the area. It's perfect terrain for beginner and youth skills development, so it's much less steep than some of the existing single track to the east there. And programs like Mighty Bikes already bring hundreds of kids out to these parks, Hillside and Kincaid, to learn how to mountain bike and have expressed their excitement and how much this would add to their program and youth mentorship. The new trails would also generally disperse traffic for all sorts of users. As I mentioned, in the winter especially, it's primarily used for skiing, and the addition of single track would add a new use and reduce user conflict. So these trails could be constructed as early as this summer. STA plans to pay for, build, and maintain the trails through the existing maintenance agreement in place. So a reminder of what single track trails look like and what they are. They're designed for mountain biking, typically between 12 inches and 36 inches in width, with additional clearance on either side, removal of vegetation for sight lines. Typically we'd bring in mineral or gravel soils to create a more sustainable tread, and the trails would be designed with drainage features in mind. These are some images of the existing trail character, specifically single track trail to the east there in Hillside Park. More steep, more challenging features, not quite suitable for teaching young folks how to ride or new folks with mountain bikes. So the proposed layout looks like this. It's shown in dashed lines are the proposed trails. The solid line is existing Nordic trail. And at every green square, this is a crossing between the proposed trails and the Nordic trails. And this has been coordinated and planned between Nordic Ski Association and Single Track Advocates. So they've walked this area, and they're using best practices to align these crossings, such as placing them as close to 90-degree crossings as possible, placing them on uphill areas where folks are traveling slower, and at every crossing there would be wayfinding and trail posts to kind of alert folks of the crossing and encourage bikers to yield to skiers. So the 3 loops would be kind of progressively more challenging. They would be one directional, which really reduces kind of takes away a layer of potential conflict with other users and makes for a really fun learning experience. And then the access points on either end, shown in green, would be two-directional just to create ease of access. So some images of what the new trail character would be like. This would be machine-built construction by a professional trail contractor, focused on beginner to intermediate skill levels, so keeping that grade lower. And it would feature some kind of skill building opportunities that could be optional, so things like small jumps, small boardwalks, bermed corners, things that help folks grow their confidence and build up to some of those more challenging trails. As I mentioned, wayfinding is a part of this proposal. Kiosks at access points can provide larger context and a map of the park and help people learn safety information. And then more discrete trail posts at crossings can provide emergency locators, names of trails, kind of confirmation that you're on the route, and help people recognize that there's a trail crossing coming up. Single Track Advocates has done a really wonderful job at earning community support for this project. They began by working with our department and with the Far North Bicentennial Park Users Group that meets monthly, and that includes the BLM Campbell Tract representatives. They attended community council meetings at Hillside and Abbott Loop and earned resolutions of support from both of those groups. They also earned letters of support from the Nordic Ski Association, Hilltop Ski Area, and the Mighty Bikes program. In addition, at the back of your packet, there's over 70, I believe, individual letters of support, which were really fun to read through and just hear from folks in the community how much they value these trails. And we also had lots of great testimony at the Parks and Recreation Commission, who also offered a resolution of support for this project. And we got to hear, public testimony from Mighty Bikes riders and youth mentors and other folks who are excited about the trails. So that brings us to tonight, requesting your support from this commission. I'll return to an image of the trail layout and happy to answer questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the petitioner? Yes. Commissioner Nanalo?
Thank you. So a quick question I had. So I saw that you got support from the Nordic Ski Association, which is great, because looking at this when I was kind of reading through, the only thing that I could really think of that would where there might be a little bit of a sticking point are those points where you're crossing the Nordic ski trails. But kind of looking at this and thinking it through and even listening to your testimony today, or your presentation rather, it sounds like, partially from what's in the packet, that like flat tire bikers, people who are biking in the winter actually are using the Nordic trails currently to do that, and that this would actually decrease conflict on the Nordic trails. Is that correct?
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner Nanalo. I would agree. I think that some folks don't realize that the trails are ski only if it's their first time or something like that. So there definitely have been instances where there's fat tire bikers on the groomed loops, which is a problem for maintenance. As far as, fat tire bikes crossing the groomed loops, it's a pretty minimal disturbance, and skiers, these single track trails would remain multi-use, so they're suitable for walkers, runners, and skiers as well, and snowshoers. And it's actually an important part of kind of this symbiotic relationship where the trail gets packed down really nice for bikers. And so we found that the pairing of these two user groups works really well.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? If not, I have a couple. I always have a couple. So just to confirm, because it sounded like for a moment there that in the wintertime they would convert to being, but it sounds like you clarified that they will still remain multi-use trails. And then my other question was, there's the width difference between 12 inches and 36, and if you were to construct a 36-inch trail, it would allow people who use hand cycles to also use this opportunity, which I think would be really, a really good opportunity. Or people, who may be pushing a partner, a child in a wheelchair, since they're also intended to be multi-use, could also participate. So I would encourage the 36-inch option. And then the other one with the wayfinding, I think it's just to consider inclusion of acknowledgement of being on Denina lands on some of those things. I think that that's a really nice thing to see. And then on page 90 of our, or 89, sorry, of our packet, there was a comment that was received by Matt about the potential conflict at a particularly high location. So it says, I would propose avoiding such a landmark and routing down just north of the Richter Bog connector and then south of the bog trail between the bog trail and the lighted loops. So I was just, I would reduce crossing. It seemed like he had a lot of experience in the area, and I didn't know if his comments had been given consideration, if there was a concern with the conflict that he brought up in his comments.
Thanks, Chair McKee. Yeah, we were actually just talking about that, myself and Lee Bowling from Single Track Advocates. Yeah, so it's nice to read these because it really gives you perspective into the kind of the social trails and the places, the landmarks people celebrate in these parks that might not be on official trails. And yeah, this has been considered, and it's definitely in their plan to avoid kind of anywhere people would be gathering or standing. A benefit too of adding these single track trails within these loops, there's already social trails that are forming within these loops, and it's in our interest for sustainable vegetation and tread to kind of keep people on sustainable paths. So I think it would be a win-win, and maybe make it easier for people to get to that place too.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
And then my last comment was that there is no lighting proposed, but it does seem like there is a significant amount of lighting in the area. And do they feel like that lighting that's already in the area is sufficient, or?
Yeah, so it's not shown on this map, but much of the ski loops are lighted in this area. In the trail improvements plan, there was community interest recorded in maybe eventually lighting the multi-use path shown in purple along Abbott Road. I don't know, kind of throughout Anchorage, single track trails aren't usually lit, and it's definitely an added cost. It also might, detract from some of the character of the trails being a little bit more natural and narrow and really feeling like you're out in the wild. So I think those are a couple of things to consider, but it is quite well lit at the access points and where kiosks would be, and even where those trail crossings would be.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If there are no other questions from commissioners, then we'll now open the hearing to public testimony. Is there anyone wishing to testify? Oh, okay. Yeah, feel free. Please come forward. Please state and spell your name for the record, and whether you are testifying as an individual or a representative of a group.
Thanks. My name is Janice Tower, Janicetower, and I am here to testify on behalf of Mighty Bikes, one of the organizations that has given our support to the Single Track Advocates Project. So I am the founder and the past president of Mighty Bikes. We started the program in the year 2000, and over the years we have taught thousands of kids how to mountain bike. And we are a completely volunteer organization. We have each year 300 kids in the program and 65 volunteer coaches dedicating their time to teach mountain biking. And in the interest of full disclosure, I'm also the founder and past president of Single Track Advocates. So we have had a wonderful partnership with the organizations over the years, and kind of self-interest with the Mighty Bikes program to partner with Single Track Advocates to create these 35 miles of trails so that these kids have something really exciting to ride on. So Just briefly, teaching mountain biking requires a progression of skills from just the basics of braking and shifting to the nuances of climbing steep hills and mastering technical terrain with lots of rocks and roots, boulders, and jumps. Single Track Advocates has created an amazing resource in the Anchorage Bowl for kids to learn on. And one critical piece that's missing for our program is a network of single track trails connecting Service High with the Hilltop Ski Area and the Hillside single track trails that are a little higher up in elevation. We meet on Tuesdays at Service High School, and the kids just flood up towards those more difficult trails. But the problem is the littler kids, and the kids started around age 8, and the more beginning and intermediate level kids don't have the strength and stamina to get up to those trails, and they don't yet have the skills. So what we need is a system of beginner and intermediate terrain so that the younger kids and those just starting out can gradually improve their skills to the point that when they get a little bit older and stronger, they can hit the terrain a little higher up where they're more intermediate and expert level trails. So another thing I just wanted to mention is, like, for the kids' experience, I think mountain biking is a individual sport, and I like to think of it as a great equalizer. Kids of all ages, abilities, can get on a bike and learn to have fun. We have actually a lot of kids with special needs, and their difficulties that they encounter in normal life just seem to melt away as soon as they get on a bike, because suddenly they're just like everyone else and learning the joys of riding. So kids of all ages, from 2-year-olds on Strider bikes to 80-year-olds on e-bikes, they will all enjoy the Service Single Track, not just Mighty Bikers. So I definitely want to advocate for anybody who enjoys riding a bike and being in the great outdoors. It is a lifetime sport, and it provides a good reason for people to want to live and raise their kids in Anchorage. I have a vested interest in making sure that young families stick around and contribute to our community. I have 2 kids who went through the Mighty Bikes program myself, and they seem to be gravitating back to Anchorage to live their adult lives. So thank you for considering the Single Track Trails project at Service, and I hope you will support the project. Do you have any questions?
No?
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to testify? Hi, thank you. Please state and spell your name for the record and whether you are testifying as an individual or a representative of a group.
Hi, my name is Callista Schmidt, K-A-L-Y-S-T-A, S-C-H-M-I-D-T, and I'm testifying on behalf of the Nordic Skiing Association of Anchorage. The NSAA supports single track advocates to secure permission and funding to design and construct new trails on the Anchorage hillside. Single Track Advocates has a proven track record of working with other user groups to resolve issues and have demonstrated their ability to accomplish projects. They did an outstanding job of constructing Anchorage's existing single track trails on the hillside and received our full support for their project at Kincaid Park. We appreciate the consideration of Single Track Advocates to minimize trail crossings, provide more year-round multi-use options for the community, and design trail intersections to be as safe as possible for a variety of user groups. We look forward to working with Single Track Advocates to improve trail systems on the Anchorage hillside. Do you have any questions?
Nope, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to testify? Nope, Thank you. Would the petitioner like to use their remaining time for rebuttal? Okay, thank you. Are there any more questions from the commission for the petitioner or for staff? Nope. Okay, the public hearing is now closed. The matter now rests with the body. May we have a motion to approve case number 2023-0061? It's moved by Commissioner Nanalo. Would you please state your motion?
Yep. I move in case 2023-0061 to approve the trail review of approximately 5.5 miles of new beginner and intermediate single-track trails in Far North Bicentennial Park / Hillside Park.
Thank you, and it was seconded by Commissioner Lucas. Commissioner Nanalo, would you please speak to your motion?
Yes, I think this will add to the community. I think I really appreciated what the representative from Mighty Bikes had to say about making our trail system more usable for younger families, younger children, and also elderly, just in terms of their ability to get outside. As a mother of small children, I have experienced the difficulty with that at times in town, and I think it would really help to strengthen our overall community and get kids outside more, which I think would be great. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Lucas, would you like to speak to your second?
I think the presentation was wonderful, and I just want to add on to the thoughtfulness that went into working with the various groups all together as one to make this happen. As a person that is in development and in the commercial space, we very much support the community activities that bring people together of all different types, and this is one that is definitely talked about on the top of the list, so great job.
Thank you. Are there any other commissioners wishing to speak to the motion and or add findings? If you don't, I will. That's okay. You're okay. It's all good. She's trying to request to speak. You can just go ahead. Commissioner Sullivan?
Yes, I would like to add to the findings that there was no comments from, against the project. I mean, we got a lot of support letters, and we got letters from several known organizations. So it's a great project. I mean, I've been there myself trying to fill my kids, and it's very dangerous for moms. So I totally support the project. The project consists with policies of the following comprehensive plan elements. Hillside District Plan 2010. The Hillside District Plan identifies trails as an important part of Hillside community infrastructure. Far North Bicentennial Park Trail Improvements Plan 2011. The single track trails will locate in an area designated for high intensity of recreation use of development. You're using kind of the same area. I think you're not disturbing new areas, so there's a lot of opportunity there. Area-wide trails plan, 1997 single-track trails are designed to accommodate all seasons users, including mountain bikers, winter bikers, snowshoers, skiers, walkers, and bird and wildlife watchers. So that's great. It's very inclusive. The plan recommends natural trails, unpaved, unlight, and that's the characteristics that we have when we look at your design. Anchorage Bowl Natural Resource and Recreational Facility Plan. This proposal increases connectivity between Service High School and Hilltop Ski Area and provides an alternative to ski-only trails in the winter. That's awesome. And finally, it complies with the Anchorage 2020 Anchorage Bowl Comprehensive Plan, and the trails will be designed for beginners, mountain bikers, and outdoor education programs seeking progressive skill building opportunities. So that is amazing. I'm just thrilled that we're going to get a trail for beginners. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sullivan. Are there any other commissioners wishing to speak to the motion and/or add findings? If there is no further discussion, may we have a vote on case number 2023-0061?
Ms. Gordy, how do you vote?
I vote to approve, yes.
Ms. Boland, how do you vote?
Approve.
Mr. Cox, how do you vote?
Approve.
Thank you.
Case 2023-0061 passed with a vote of 7 in favor and no objections. I lost my last page of notes. There's no other, oh shoot. So we have nothing else on the agenda for the evening, and the Urban Design Commission is now adjourned. So I need a motion to adjourn. I'm new to this role. It's moved by Commissioner Nanalo. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Follen, second.
And we have a second by Commissioner Folland. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Actually, I missed